Good morning and thanks for being with us here on 10 News Brightside. We want to get straight to a developing story that the world has been watching now for over 2 weeks. Right now, rescue crews are trying to save a youth soccer team that's been trapped in a cave in Thailand for more than 2 weeks. So far, 4 people have been brought out safely. There are conflicting reports this morning whether or not the 25-year-old soccer coach is among those who have been rescued. CNN is reporting at this hour that the soccer coach has been rescued, but there are conflicting reports out there right now. But the race is on either way to save the remaining boys, all under the age of 16, who are still inside that cave. Crews spent hours replenishing their supplies so they can go back in and save the other kids. But that said, it could take up to 4 more days for that to happen. After the first 4 were brought out, they were rushed to hospitals by helicopter where they will be evaluated for the next several days. Officials in charge of the operation say they're hoping to bring another group of boys out within the next several hours. We, of course, are going to be keeping a close eye on that throughout the broadcast here. Before the rescue took place, the coach who brought the boys into that cave issued an apology to their parents directly, and the trapped children wrote letters to their families that were brought out by the cave divers, most of them saying things like, "I love you, Mom and Dad. Don't worry, we are safe now. When I come out, we will go eat fried chicken. I miss everybody." So I wanted to put this into perspective for you as we start the broadcast today. The soccer team has spent more than 2 weeks on a ledge about 2.5 miles inside that cave, 2.5 miles from the entrance, about a half mile down. As much flood water as could be drained as possible has been taken out of this massive and long chamber, but they still have to get through other flooded chambers in areas that are far too narrow for formal scuba gear as you might know it. To get the boys out, they will have to wear full face scuba masks, wetsuits, boots, and helmets because of all the rocks inside those chambers. They will not have to carry their own tanks. They will get air from the Navy divers' tanks. Divers will guide them through the cave system using fixed ropes, which have already been put in place. They also have oxygen tanks placed along the path in case of an emergency. Now, this is all extremely risky, even for experienced divers, and a Tampa Bay man knows exactly how difficult this can be. Matt Vinzak is one of the few cave explorers trained to rescue people stranded deep in underground cave systems. We spoke with him last week about the challenges crews are facing to get those kids out.
The cave is very restrictive. It's easy to go belly crawling through a cave when it's dry, but to belly crawl through a cave when it's full of water with tanks on your side is a lot more difficult. I've heard it's very restrictive, and most of these kids don't know how to dive or have never dove before. So to teach them in near zero visibility, high flow, in a section of cave that's very restrictive, you can't keep an eye on them very well as you get through there. And I know they want to minimize the risks to the kids. So yeah, it could be very small, very tight. I've heard there are multiple sumps involved, and the deepest one is nearly 100 feet deep. So you don't necessarily want to take a bunch of kids through that.
It is just such an exotic and out of the ordinary process. SpaceX is testing a kid-sized submarine that could be sent to help in the rescue efforts if needed. SpaceX's CEO posted videos on Twitter showing the aluminum sub being tested in a swimming pool in California. These videos coming from Elon Musk's Twitter account. If the tests are successful, the sub would be placed on a 17-hour flight to Thailand. A spokesman for Musk's company said Thai officials have requested that device. Officials say the young boys, who range in age from 11 to 16, and their coach, who's 25, understand that the rescue plan is extremely risky, but they are ready and willing to face whatever it takes to get out of that cave. Again, we will have a lot more on the rescue efforts coming up on Brightside throughout the next 2.5 hours here on 10 News. We will also have full coverage on our Facebook page and on our website, WTSP.com. Another story locally that we've been on top of all weekend long: a 6-year-old girl is safe following a 24-hour standoff between her father and police in Lakeland. That standoff ending with 39-year-old Gary Colley taking his own life. Deputies say it started as a domestic violence call from a home on Dartmouth Road. 10 News reporter Bo Zimmer has the latest on what happened and how it finally came to an end.
All afternoon and into the night, continuing through the next morning, Polk Sheriff's deputies, along with Lakeland Police and members of the Tampa Bomb Squad, flood this Lakeland neighborhood along Dartmouth Road.
We're never comfortable with a man that's got a gun, that's threatening suicide, and not allowing his daughter or whoever the hostage is to leave.
The incident starting with a domestic argument early Saturday. Deputies say 39-year-old Gary Colley became enraged when he found out his wife was planning on taking their daughter to the beach with another man.
Gary says, well, you're not taking Ryland. He holds her. He has in the meantime gone to the garage and come back with a handgun.
Colley's wife calling 911 Saturday afternoon, setting up a standoff with the 6-year-old daughter still inside.
He would tell us, yes, I'm coming out. I'm putting on Ryland's shoes. I'm putting on my shoes. And this narrative went on for about 24 hours.
Deputies becoming especially concerned after losing contact early Sunday for nearly 5 hours. Colley apparently barricaded with his daughter in a walk-in closet where they slept. By midday, talks resumed, and Colley announced he was finally letting his daughter go.
Gary told Ryland just before he sent her out the front door, don't be afraid of the deputies. They're not going to hurt you. Go walk out and walk to the deputies. And then he told Ryland, and then I'm going to kill myself. Ryland walked out. She walked out very calmly.
Deputies eventually shooting chemical agents into the home, trying to force Colley out before deputies say the 39-year-old father took his own life.
I feel bad that it ended that way. I wish everybody would have made it out. He said he wasn't going back to jail.
Well, we were all watching this throughout the weekend play out. Records show that Gary Colley had a long criminal history, and Sheriff Grady Judd says as they were negotiating, they knew about his record and that he was currently on probation. He was listed as a violent offender with 14 previous felony charges, including felony domestic battery, grand theft, fraud, and drug charges. As a felon, he was not supposed to be using a gun. He would have faced new charges if he was taken into custody, including armed kidnapping and possession of a firearm. Neighbors also told us that he and his wife had a challenging relationship and would sometimes fight outside the house in front of their daughter. Police were actually called to that home just last week. All right, it is 4:37 on your Monday morning. Hope you had a great weekend. A lot of people probably had a lot of time off, Grant. Yesterday was a beautiful day just because that little bit of cloud cover kept it a little bit cooler, at least in my area.
Yeah, it really depended on where you were. We had a few storms out there. Other places just had the sunshine mixed with some cloud cover throughout the day. All in all, though, not a bad weekend overall. We're waking up with temperatures generally in the upper 70s to low 80s under mostly clear skies. St. Pete, one of the warmer spots, 83 now in St. Pete. Lakeland at 75. Tampa, good morning. You're at 79 degrees. Satellite and radar loop over the last few hours showing you those mostly clear skies. Showers and storms up towards Daytona Beach. We really have a small chance for just a few afternoon showers and storms again today. 30% chance that you get that rainfall in your backyard today. High temperatures will be up around 90 degrees. The humidity, though, making it feel warmer than that. Smallest chances of rain will be today. Later in the week, rain chances begin to increase. We'll break down the full forecast in just a few.
All right, looking forward to it, Grant. Thank you. President Trump will announce his nomination for the open Supreme Court seat in a nationally televised address tonight at 9 o'clock. He's narrowed it down to 4 candidates right now. CBS's Laura Podesta has more on who that nominee might be.
This person will do a great job, but I'm very close to making a decision.
President Trump was still deciding on a Supreme Court nominee as he traveled back to the White House from his New Jersey golf club yesterday.
Let's say it's the 4 people, and they're excellent. Everyone, you can't go wrong, but I'm getting very close to making a final decision.
The 4 are believed to be Amy Coney Barrett, Thomas Hardiman, Brett Kavanaugh, and Raymond Kethledge.
I do think the president has to think about it. Who is the easiest to get confirmed here?
The nominee will face a rigorous confirmation process in the Senate where Republicans hold a slim majority. He or she is replacing Justice Anthony Kennedy, a moderate conservative who occasionally sided with liberals. Kavanaugh and Kethledge both formerly clerked for Kennedy. Barrett is a favorite of the base for her conservative religious views. And Hardiman was the runner-up to the president's first Supreme Court pick, Justice Neil Gorsuch.
Republicans are holding 4 lottery tickets, and all of them are winners.
Democrats think otherwise and hope to convince at least one Republican to vote no and block the nomination.
It'll affect reproductive choice and individual freedom for millions of women all over the United States. It'll affect consumer protection, environmental protection, LGBT rights.
But if Republicans stick together, there's nothing Democrats can do to stop the confirmation. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
All right, so over the weekend, Democrats saying that the vote for the next nominee should be held until after the midterm elections, which happen in November. I believe they're on November the 6th. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell famously blocked President Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland, in 2016, citing the presidential election as an opportunity to let voters make that decision, which is ultimately what ended up happening. But McConnell says the midterms are not the same, and he plans to hold a vote before the elections in the fall. A Bradenton youth group is stuck in Haiti this morning, caught in the middle of political unrest there. Airlines have canceled many flights because of the violent protests over an increase in gas prices. That's why this group of local teens have not been able to fly home yet, but they do say they're safe and they're working on making arrangements right now for that team to get back to the Tampa Bay area as soon as possible. We'll keep an eye on that. Meantime, in Pasco County, fire crews went beyond the call of duty. EMTs were involved in this too. Two brothers were laying sod over the weekend when one of them suddenly had a heart attack. As he faded in and out of consciousness, he was begging to have the sod laid down because he didn't want all that sod to go to waste while he was having a heart attack. So while he was recovering in the hospital, 7 firefighters and EMTs went back to his house to finish the job for him, and they did. More Brightside coming up on the other side.